Disgusting scenes on the green. A man once called a gentleman of golf became the villain. This is the shocking moment that destroyed Tom Lehman's reputation. And trust me, it only took 42 seconds. In today's world of pro sports, there are comeback stories that inspire us. Tom Lehman's career was one of those tales. Born in 1959, this Minnesota native was a fighter. His path to golf stardom was harder than most. Lehman turned pro in 1982, but he didn't find instant success. Far from it. The early years were a struggle. He lost his tour card. Money was tight. There were times when he drove across the country in a beat-up car, chasing his dream while barely making ends meet. What makes Lehman special in golf history is what experts call the Triple Crown. He's the only golfer ever to win Player of the Year on all three PGA Tours, the Developmental Tour, the Main Tour, and the Senior Tour. This feat speaks to his skill, his drive, and his staying power across decades. His big break came in 1991. After years of bouncing between minor leagues and international events, Lehman dominated the Ben Hogan Tour with 3 wins. He topped the money list with $141,934 and earned his way back to the big leagues. Once he returned to the PGA Tour, Lehman wasted no time. By 1994, he'd won his first PGA Tour event at the Memorial Tournament. His star kept rising. In 1996, he reached the peak of his career, winning the British Open, his only major title. That same year, he won the Tour Championship, topped the PGA Tour money list with $1.78 million, and earned Player of the Year honors. For a brief moment in 1997, Tom Lehman was ranked #1 in the world. His story seemed perfect. The late bloomer who never gave up, who fought through hard times to reach the top of his sport. But then came September 26, 1999, the Ryder Cup at the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts. And 42 seconds, that would forever change how the world saw Tom Lehman. The 1999 Ryder Cup was heated from the start. The European team, led by Mark James, jumped to a big lead. After 2 days, they led the American team 10-6. The Americans, captained by Ben Crenshaw, needed a miracle to win on Sunday. The atmosphere was tense. U.S. fans heckled European players. Payne Stewart had made things worse before the event, saying European players were only good enough to caddy for Americans. The stage was set for drama. Sunday's singles matches began with Lehman, one of Captain Crenshaw's picks, facing Lee Westwood. Lehman won his match convincingly, setting the tone for what would become the greatest comeback in Ryder Cup history at that time. The Americans won the first 6 singles matches that day. The impossible seemed possible. The momentum shifted dramatically. The crowd grew louder with each American point. Then came the moment, the defining scene. Justin Leonard faced Josemaria Olazabal in a crucial match. On the 17th green, with their match tied, Leonard stood over a 45-foot putt for birdie. The cup was hanging in the balance. Leonard struck the putt perfectly. As the ball rolled toward the hole and dropped in, pandemonium erupted. U.S. players, including Lehman, their wives, caddies, and even media personnel, swarmed onto the green in wild celebration. But there was a problem, a big problem. Olazabal still had his own 22-foot putt to have the hole. The celebration wasn't just premature, it was a serious breach of golf etiquette. Some accounts claim people ran across Olazabal's putting line. When order was finally restored, Olazabal missed his putt. That half point from Leonard was all the U.S. needed to clinch the Ryder Cup, completing their historic comeback. But the manner of victory overshadowed the result itself. The backlash was swift and severe. European vice captain Sam Torrance was furious. He called it the most disgraceful and disgusting day in the history of professional golf. He labeled the American players as madmen. But Torrance saved his harshest words for Lehman specifically. Tom Lehman may call himself a man of God, but his behavior was disgraceful, Torrance said, later adding, and he calls himself a man of God. This attack struck at the core of Lehman's identity. Known for his Christian faith, Lehman now found himself portrayed as a hypocrite. The respected sportsman was suddenly cast as the villain, the face of American excess and poor sportsmanship. Esteemed broadcaster Alistair Cook famously remarked that the day marked the arrival of the golf hooligan and called it a date that will live in infamy. Media outlets on both sides of the Atlantic condemned what happened. Olazabal himself said, "That was no way to behave. I call for respect from fellow professionals to make sure it doesn't happen again." Lehman offered his defense in the days that followed. He attributed his actions to the intense emotion of the moment and the significance of Leonard's putt. He admitted to overexuberance, no question about it, but notably stated he was not going to apologize for being excited. He felt unfairly singled out. Lehman claimed he timed the entire incident from Leonard's putt dropping to the green, being cleared at just 42 seconds. He insisted that while he was among the first waves celebrating near the green, he never set foot on the green, a claim that contradicted other accounts placing him on the putting surface. Torrance's "man of God" comment particularly stung Lehman. He called it uncalled for and admitted it fueled a desire to return to the Ryder Cup and put the hammer on somebody. The incident cast a long shadow over Lehman's public image. He became, especially in European eyes, intrinsically linked with the perceived unsporting behavior of that day. One journalist years later described him as having become the poster boy for bad behavior at Brookline. This single brief incident, just 42 seconds by Lehman's own count, threatened to overshadow his considerable achievements. When his name arose in European discussions, especially concerning the Ryder Cup, the Brookline controversy was often the first point of reference. The fallout may have had tangible career implications. Lehman himself believed the confrontation with Torrance contributed to U.S. captain Curtis Strange's decision not to select him for the 2001 Ryder Cup team. Strange publicly cited Lehman's recent form as the reason, but the Brookline cloud lingered. While Americans celebrated the dramatic comeback victory, the controversy dominated international discourse. The incident came to symbolize, for many critics, a perceived lack of sportsmanship within the Ryder Cup, with Lehman serving as a primary target for that criticism. Years later, Lehman acknowledged it was a mistake, but an honest mistake, adding that the statute of limitations has run out and it's time to move on. But the damage to his reputation was done. When Lehman turned 50 in 2009, he found new life on the PGA Tour Champions. His transition to senior golf was seamless and highly successful. He won his first senior major in 2010, the Senior PGA Championship. Between 2011 and 2012, Lehman enjoyed remarkable dominance on the senior circuit. He won multiple tournaments, including the region's tradition twice. He topped the Champions Tour money list and secured back-to-back Charles Schwab Cup titles. His peers voted him Champions Tour Player of the Year 2 years running. These consecutive Player of the Year awards completed his unprecedented Triple Crown across all 3 PGA-sanctioned tours, a unique achievement spanning more than 2 decades that speaks to his skill, adaptability, and longevity. Tom Lehman's legacy in golf is complex. He is remembered as a major champion, a statistically dominant player during his peak, and the architect of a singular historical achievement built on unwavering perseverance. Yet for many, especially outside the United States, he remains inextricably linked to those 42 seconds at Brookline. A stark reminder of how quickly reputation can change, how a moment of unbridled emotion can override years of exemplary conduct. For better or worse, those seconds on the 17th green became as much a part of Lehman's story as any trophy he ever lifted.